And we're back here for the grand final of the Gfinity Spring Masters 1. I am joined by the Muslim and Bling, almost like brothers from what we're seeing so far, I'm going to say.
Brothers from another mother, man.
There we go. That's what it is. Brothers from another mother with these two. We've got the British duo with us here. Now, this game, people are saying PartinG's kind of looking like he's going to be the guy with the slight edge at the moment against Hydra, but you can't fault him on how far he's come and being able to make it all the way to the finals. What are your thoughts going into this, guys?
Honestly, like, getting to play against Hydra on Europe, like the ladder, when you play him, you just get mauled because he's, like, so good. But I didn't realize how good he was even against the Koreans, because he's been in North America. He's been away from that Korean, like, practice environment, away from the Korean ladder and stuff. And usually you see a lot of players get considerably worse. Like, when Jack-G moved over, I know it's kind of mean to pick him out as an example, but he was a GSL champion, like one of the best players in the world, and he really, really fell off when he did that. But Hydra just kept on trucking, and I didn't expect him to get to the final as easily as he did. Like, beating Rogue 3-1, that was a real upset. Or when I say upset, like,
just an impressive feat, isn't it?
Freaking amazing. But I do think PartinG is really hard to beat, man. I think PartinG's
He's just looking unstoppable. That's the only word for it.
Like, if I was a Zerg player, I'd really be hunting and hoping that a Zerg can actually take him out, because PartinG looks so good. Like, anybody that plays PartinG style, I'd be scared of it as a Zerg player.
It's like we need life here. Life is the hope. But maybe Hydra can prove us wrong after all of this. Bling, what are your expectations of this, man? You've got your coaching to do here.
Yeah, I have. I spoke to him a little bit, and he said he's feeling pretty confident going into it. He thinks he'll actually win. He thinks he'll actually win, which is good. It's a bit of a shame because I only literally just found out that he's playing Hydra, because I was actually sleeping. I didn't realise the last series
just
finished.
having a quick nap. Yeah. Missing all this fantastic Starcraft action. Bling's there.
So yeah, I've literally only just found out, so I haven't actually given him any tips to prepare for this one. But I know that he said he'll win. But yeah, I feel like he should have the edge going into this series. His PvZ is crazy good. We've kind of said it throughout the whole tournament that he's got this unique style about him, and it's really, really hard to play against. He's took down so many good players already. In my opinion, players that I guess better than Hydra, even though Hydra's in the final, so it's hard to say. But yeah, obviously, like Ben said as well, Hydra's doing really well lately, so obviously I'm not going to rule him out completely, but I definitely think he'll have his work cut out for him.
Well, we've got a little graphic here of the road to the grand final here for PartinG, and we just have a look at this. It's 2-0 versus True for Group A Game 1. 2-0 versus Snoot, 2-0 versus Sulky. Just them three scores in general. 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. Impressive anyway. And then we come to the semi-final versus Rain. We saw that go right to the wire. It was 3-2. And once PartinG did that, it was kind of like, okay, this guy is on a roll right now.
Well, he talked about, like, his scariest opponents, like, at the start of the tournament, was Sulky and Rain. And he's beat both of those guys, you know, like, there's no worrying left for PartinG. Like, he's basically thinking about the party afterwards right now. Like,
kicking back.
Yeah, I can assure you. But, yeah, again, like, Hydra, he can't take him lightly, because Hydra's been playing a really weird style. Like, I don't even in, like, ZVT, Hydra plays his own kind of thing. Like, he goes 3-hatch, then Spire, really late Evos and stuff. And he's just a really solid all-round player. Like, I was watching him play as well. He's got, like, real spider hands, you know? Like, I still think PartinG is probably going to win, but I don't think it's going to be super decisive. Yeah,
like, obviously, everyone's saying at the moment, Hydra's kind of the underdog, but I'm never ruling him out of it just because of what we've seen.
No, and I mean, in all those online tournaments, Hydra's in everything right now. He's in absolutely everything and dominating everything outside of Korea. So, yeah, he's a monster. Hasn't yet had his breakthrough tournament yet. In fact, he's in the final here. So this is
potential, yeah.
This is, like, being in the final here, like, he went to Katowice, and he was 2-0 up against somebody and then ended up losing. I think it was, like, Hero or somebody along those lines. But, yeah, I think now it's his time to shine.
Well, we've got the road to the grand final for Hydra, who we've just been speaking about. And, okay, to start off with, you can see it's not as clean. 2-1 versus Bunny, 1-2 versus Rain, then obviously 2-0 versus Fancy, and then 2-0ing Heart as well. It's like he gained a little bit of confidence and momentum there, but the Rogue game itself is just impressive.
One thing to note here, his only loss in the tournament was against the only Protoss he played, who is a Protoss that is probably not as good as the Protoss he's about to play. So
and PartinG's just beat that Protoss.
Yeah.
So. It's not looking good right now.
No, no. But you can see there he's a Terran Destroyer, and the fact that he beat Rogue as well 3-1. But losing to 1-2 to Rain, that's not saying he's bad in the matchup by any means, because Rain's
took a map
monster.
still.
Yeah.
And I think Rain and PartinG have completely different PvC styles anyway. So he might actually be better against PartinG's style than he was against Rain. And even though he lost, it was still 1-2. And a best of 3, you can't really say too much. Like, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you lose a series, but it was a close series. Like, I didn't watch the games. I don't know if you did. I must have missed them. But yeah, it doesn't really say much. So even though he is the underdog going into the series, just I guess from the build-up that I've seen from him online, and obviously getting to the grand final in this tournament, he's definitely a very good player.
It's all on the day as well, you know, like today he beat Rogue 3-1, which is huge. That is really huge. PartinG, he looked a little shaky in some of his games against Rain, but he's still so incredibly solid. Like, and his PvZ, it's a different story. Like, he gets an army together and then he just makes it work magically. Like, his force fields are the best. Like, he's got super clean force fields. Where you see normal Protossers make them overlap a little bit, even if it's every now and then. PartinG, every force field matters. And I really think he is probably the best force fielder in the world right now. And if you're
high praise,
if you're any Zerg against that, like, you're going to have trouble. And with his like Blink Stalker Sentry move outs as well, like, he's just so precise. He's so precise.
Now, before we pass it over, I just want to get some predictions from you guys. So, Ben, we'll start with you.
It's a best of 7, yeah?
Yeah, it's a best of 7. It's going to be a long best of 7.
I think it's going to be 4-1 or 4-2 for PartinG.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say exactly the same, 4-1.
4-1. So 4-1 and a 4-1/2. Only time will tell. We're going to pass it over to Jorasar and Inu on the main stage. They're going to do a quick couple of interviews with the players prior to the game. So over to you guys.
Welcome back to the main stage, ladies and gentlemen. Just before the finals now of the Gfinity Starcraft Masters. I'm Jorasar, joined by Inu, and our 2 finalists here on the main stage. And a couple of questions just before we get started. I guess the first one will go to PartinG. You've recently been in the GSL final. You had a bit of difficulty against a Zerg player there, to say the least. Incredibly talented player. And you're now in another major final against another Zerg player. How are you feeling about that? What's changed since then?
최근에 GSL 파이널에서 다른 저그 선수랑 이제 경기를 하게 됐는데 아쉽게도 지게 됐는데 이번에 또 파이널에서 저그 선수를 맞이하는 게 어떤 기분이 들고 또 어떤 소감인지 한번 말씀해 주세요.
일단 제가 GSL 결승전에서 졌지만 그냥 그 패배는 잊었고, 그리고 지금은 결승전이 아니라 생각해요. 이미 저는 우승했다 생각하기 때문에 그냥 빨리 끝내고 이 트로피 가지고 집 가고 싶어요.
Yeah, I lost in GSL, but I already forgot about that loss. And this is the finals, but I don't think it as a finals because I think I already won, and I just want to take this trophy home.
Strong words there coming out from PartinG. Now, Hydra, before we get into this actual matchup, your last major finals were actually in 2011, and this is your first major finals appearance in StarCraft 2. How does it feel to be up here? How does it feel to have made your run through the tournament so far?
I've tried to my best since moving to Loot Gaming, so I made it final, but I'm not satisfied with my finals. Time to win this tournament. Yeah.
Gauntlet thrown, ladies and gentlemen. All right, one more question to PartinG then. You said earlier on today that your hardest opponent was Rain, and that if you're able to defeat Rain, no matter who it is in the final, you're going to win it. Are you that confident? Is this going to be completely one-sided? Or do you still feel the same?
그 전 인터뷰에서도 계속 레인 선수만 이기면 이 대회를 우승하겠다, 100% 자신감 있다 하셨는데 지금 이 순간에도 그 자신감이 있는지, 그리고 완전 그냥 4대 0으로 이길 수 있을 것 같은지.
우승은 이미 윤종이 형 이기고 나서 우승했다 생각했고 지금은 쇼매치 한다고 생각하고 재밌게 팬분들이 구경하다 가셨으면 좋겠습니다.
Yes, I think after I won against Rain, I was already sure that I'm the winner of this tournament, and I think of this as a show match, and I think my fans should enjoy my matches, and yeah.
Wow. All right, well, Hydra, there's no denying it. PartinG has had a fantastic run through this tournament, but is he human? Can he be stopped? And are you going to be the one to stop him right now?
Yeah, actually, I helped his semi of GSL just a few weeks ago. So I know what he was doing, and I know what he will do. So yeah, I can beat him.
Confident words there from both of our players. Best of luck to both of you, of course. We're going to be getting them into the booth now for the finals, and your commentators for this best of 7 are Liquid Red and Kaldor. So let's hear it from these guys.
All right, guys, the finals are about to start, and we heard both of them just, a bit of trash talk there, especially from PartinG. I find it very impressive, though, that Hydra was doing the whole thing in English and didn't even need a translator there. Korean's usually not all that good with English, and he improved a lot. I'm really impressed.
Yeah, I think he's been taking lessons in America or something, because he only went over like 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And he's already able to do interviews in full English, and he's learning very fast. I think he's also really loving the American culture, like eating hamburgers and things like that, and he's really enjoying himself over there. And it seems to show in his play that he's just having a good time and really feeling good.
Yeah, most of the Koreans, even if they speak a decent English, are usually pretty shy about it. So I find that really impressive, and it just shows confidence. He also expressed that when he goes up against PartinG right now. We had analysts already talk about how strong PartinG is. We saw him in this tournament in Protoss versus Zerg several times. He didn't even drop a single map against Zerg yet. The only maps that he dropped were against Rain, which was probably his toughest opponent so far. So he's looking very confident. Do you think he was maybe a bit too confident here?
Yeah, I think what I was hearing when I heard that interview, I was like, okay, PartinG, like we all know that you're a total beast. You are a total Zerg killer. But if you start to feel as a player that you're already there and you already won the game, that's kind of dangerous, especially after 2 days of playing all these intense matches. Obviously, Hydra is also really, really hot right now. Everything is going his way. And you can never really just lose focus like that and think you're already there. Then it could just happen really fast. Like Hydra already showing in his previous matches that he's got some very special, cheeky builds.
Yep.
And he can be really quick to take those wins. So PartinG is going to have to still have full concentration just to get off to a good start.
For me personally, I also think that PartinG is definitely the favorite going into the series. But I would love Hydra to just like completely step it up right now and suddenly put PartinG in a position where he has to realize, hey, wait a second, maybe I haven't won this just yet. As it happens, game number 1 starts, ladies and gentlemen. Secret Spring is our starting map for the best of 7 near the Gfinity finals. Starting to the bottom left, it is in blue, the Protoss play. It is PartinG. And his opponent starting to the top right in red with a lot of confidence here as well. Going into this first map of the series, it is Hydra.
Yeah, and look at the map caller. This is the first time in the whole weekend that we are actually seeing Secret Spring, and this could actually influence this first game a lot. This is a really, really crazy map. Really plays different than any of the other maps we've seen. The third base is so far away, making potentially the 4-gate pressure or other 2-base builds really, really powerful. And we haven't really seen a lot of games, so it's really hard to say what's going to happen.
Yeah, in this game in particular, and we have a best of 7 series, and personally I really love that because it just allows the players to just show us a huge variety of different strategies. Playing the straight up game, maybe trying to go for some kind of proxy in the case of PartinG at some point, and playing it super aggressive. We could see an early pool at some point from Hydra as well, if he thinks that PartinG is playing a greedy game. So I'm really looking forward to this one. This should be a great series between the two of them, and I really hope that we're going to go the full distance.
That would be an awesome ending to an already awesome weekend. It looks like so far PartinG will stick to what he's been doing with that gateway first. Hydra does drop the hatchery, of course, on this map. You don't really have to worry that much about cannon rushes. And we also see the fast gas, so he's going to have some really, really quick speedlings. I like this opening for Hydra.
What I personally really wanted to see from Hydra is that he really focuses just like on his own play, because in the sense that PartinG showed throughout the entire tournament that if you make a mistake, he is going to exploit that as much as he can. So many times, especially against Zerg, he was at a disadvantage. There was a single mistake mistake by the Zerg player, and suddenly PartinG was able to turn things around. And if Hydra really wants to take this final here, if he wants to win those maps, he needs to play a nearly perfect game and just make sure that he makes no mistakes that PartinG can exploit.
Do you think Hydra has an answer for sentries and the beautiful force fields we've seen from PartinG?
I think he might have. I mean, he's been watching all those games, of course. He had the opportunity to really study the games, and he knows that PartinG has just an absolutely amazing micro. So I feel what he really needs to make sure of is that if he sees an opportunity, he takes it, but that he does not overcommit. We saw that from a lot of Zerg players, Rogue one of them, who just like thought he could hammer PartinG into the ground, and that just doesn't work. You have to play a style where you make sure that you do not overextend, and if he's able to do that, then I think Hydra can take a couple of games here. Of course, once again, we have also our vote here, so guys, let us know who you think is going to take it here. Tweet at Gfinity and use the player hashtags that you can see on screen right now. I would be really interested to see who you think is going to take it here. PartinG the favorite, but Hydra has shown amazing performance so far, and let's see what the audience has to say.
And this first Zealot was actually really fast, and the pool was a little bit late, but great drone micro by Hydra, and he hasn't lost. He lost 2 drones already. That's actually really bad, and still the Zealot so efficiently against the Zerglings, and wow, that fast Zealot did a lot of work on Hydra.
Yeah, that's 200 minerals that Hydra just lost there. And of course, those harvesters also a bit of a difficult loss for him. We have at the front of PartinG's second base right now also the double gateway that he currently puts down, so he goes into the third one already.
Yeah, he's got the Nexus going, the Sentry on the way, only 1 gas. So that's not a lot of gas at all. Maybe this is going to be a heavy pressure build. And yeah, there's another gateway, I believe, that is going to be 4. And the probe is moving into position on the gold base right next to an Overlord, but doesn't, yes, it does see it. So this is really good. But at the same time, it's really hard to get around with Zerglings to stop that pylon from going up.
But at least he knows what's coming, and he builds 10 Zerglings already, so he's preparing for this, adding an additional Queen already. The Zergling is just moving into the natural of his opponent right now, so he gets all the scouting information that he needs. So knowing what's coming to kill you is already half the battle, but of course he still has to stop this.
Yeah, and from here, canceling the pylon would be great, but I think the warp gate is already done, so the Zealots are going to be able to be warped in already. At the same time, PartinG is scouting the third base, I believe, which is not up yet. So what can he really do with Zealot pressure here? There's not going to be too much he can do because there's no hatchery to cancel or anything. And behind this, Hydra is getting an Evo chamber. Looks like PartinG changes might and goes into the Stargate immediately.
Yeah, Stargate already there. The Zerglings now taking down the pylons that we see there. So from Hydra's perspective, this was, at least from the scouting's perspective, a very good start. But he needs to be careful here. He doesn't really have the Zergling numbers to take down that pylon just yet because of the position. The 2 Zealots getting into a really good spot to defend that. And of course, with the Mothership Core, he has another tool at his disposal. Upgrades for Hydra already with a +1 attack, and even adding the Spinecrawler now to be on the safe side.
Yeah, very early upgrade. And I think this is really good against gateway units. If you plan on making a lot of Zerglings, then the +1 melee really helps out against Zealot and Stalkers. A bit annoying that he hasn't been able to stop that pylon. Just a few Zealots and a Mothership Core, really effective against those early Zerglings.
Yeah, at this point, we're having the Zerglings once again just moving in. We have a couple of Zealots from PartinG trying to take down these rocks here, and of course cut that path off. The Lings are still trying to find an opening somewhere. I mean, there's already a sentry. He needs to make sure that he is not caught there, but he at least kills the Zealots, so that was a really nice move.
Yeah, finally a kill for Hydra, and already map layout coming into play a little bit. Seems like PartinG almost has those rocks down. He'll be able to... they are actually already down, so Hydra's Lings are cut off from the rest, and if Hydra wants to take a third base anytime soon, it's going to be really tough. Behind this, an Oracle is on the way. Will Hydra be ready? I don't think he's seen the Stargate. Yeah,
Hydra is trying to take that third base, by the way, and you're right. He didn't see the Stargate just yet. We have the Zealots still in position there, but the third base towards the right side, PartinG, if he sees that, could easily start to attack it, but he doesn't do that just yet. We have the rocks already about to be taken out, but those Lings just need a bit more time. The Oracle is moving in now as well. PartinG really starting to be aggressive here, but Lings rushing in from every single angle, trying to take down the Zealots here. The Mothership Core is trying to help out, but all of the Zealots are down. So far, so good for Hydra. Decent start. Lair Tech is not finished just yet, but he's finally starting to put down some pressure to the pylon, but he still needs to deal with the Oracle in the main base that already killed 6 of his drones.
Yeah, heavy drone losses. The Oracle does die, and with 5 Zealots here, I don't think he's going to be able to break this position. He did kill a lot of Zealots, but still, that annoying pylon still has presence on the map. The rocks are still down, and PartinG is just being really annoying to Hydra right now.
The one thing that Hydra, of course, did is he did not invest any of his gas into roaches or anything else. The only thing that he researched was the +1 attack upgrade for his Zerglings, and now he's starting to switch into a Hydra attack. So he has a lot of gas, actually, with this, and invested so far only into the minerals. At the same time, PartinG is now adding a lot of additional gateways, so he really wants to keep up the pressure.
Yeah, but Hydra's worker count so far, not really all that high. He's just now getting up to 46. I think with that early Hydra den, maybe he wants to just produce a ton of Hydras and then use the map to his advantage, because for PartinG it's also going to be difficult to secure a third base if he doesn't get Colossus or anything. But with that low economy, the amount of Hydras you can make is not really all that high.
If he gets a decent Hydra amount, though, then he is going to be in a great position against that gateway army that we're seeing from PartinG. Hydra is usually melting gateway units away, but there's a pretty sizable force out for PartinG, and with his force field micro, this is always dangerous. He's currently looking at 36 army supply against 16, and the Hydra production of Hydra just now started.
Yeah, and this is PartinG's favorite unit, the Sentry. He can make miracles happen with that, and he does charge in and will take that Spinecrawler out so fast. Does Hydra have anything to defend?
Yeah, that Spore Crawler already running away, doesn't even want to be part of that fight. Can't really do anything, maybe against that Mothership Core if he gets a snipe there, but if I was a Spore Crawler or Spinecrawler, would run away as well. This one is going to die pretty soon. The force field blocking the ramp for another few seconds, and there's just nothing on the map for Hydra. He just doesn't have anything to defend this space. He's already evacuating the drones, running away with them, and this is a pretty bad spot for him now.
Yeah, it looks like Hydra does not have enough Hydras at all so far in this game. He will lose his third base immediately. And I think this is a great position for PartinG. He's getting cannons behind this at home just to be extra safe. But Hydra fails to do the most difficult thing on this map, which is take a third base. And from here, what can he really do?
Yeah, I really like the idea of him going straight into that Hydra attack, but at the same time, with the losses that he suffered in economy, he just was never able to really get the numbers out that he needs to stop this. He doesn't have enough Hydra lists for it. He's trying to just fill that gap with a few Zerglings that can rush in, but there's just doesn't seem to be enough. 62 army supply against 36. PartinG is nearly doubling his opponent's army supply, and with his force field micro, this should be a very, very decisive battle in his favor.
Yeah, and he drops the slow with the Mothership Core, and he even hallucinates the Colossus, and looks like all the Hydras are trapped. This is going to be the final stand for Hydra in this game, and everything is falling, and the first game does go to PartinG. GG.
GG, and PartinG takes the first game here. He was announcing, he has announced a show match earlier and said that he is easily going to be able to take this home. Was just like thinking about where exactly to put that trophy. And right now, well, he got the first victory. Hydra, of course, he knew that this was not going to be an easy battle. And I think losing a map is something that he definitely expected. He was probably hoping that he could at least win the first one and gain some momentum here. But this is a situation that I feel he is going to be prepared for. But he could really see how strong, once again, PartinG is.
Yeah, and PartinG really played to the map very well, getting that pylon up in such an awkward position for Hydra. He invested so much into links into the early game, but just couldn't break the pylon, and the Zealots just kept doing their thing, being really annoying for Hydra there. And I'm not sure what, I guess his idea was good with the Hydra den to try to do something back to PartinG, but PartinG just was having none of it. He just got like 5-6 gateways and just put on the heavy pressure. And like you said, maybe Hydra is prepared for this because Secret Springs is something you don't usually play. Yeah. Unfortunately, in a best of 7, no vetoes. But Hydra's going to have to make a quick switch and move on to the next map.
Oh yeah, definitely. And in this game, it was really difficult for Hydra to like get anything done here. You could see that he was several times trying to rush with the Zerglings into his opponent's base. Never really got an opening, never really got a chance to do any damage there. And taking out that pylon proved to be so difficult since we had PartinG always in position with 1-2 Zealots just blocking that. Having also the Zealots with the back to the wall so that the Lings never really got a good surround against that. Was really, really tricky for him to do anything about that. Hydra now down 1 game in the series. You can still vote, of course, and tell us who you think is going to take this. Just tweet at Gfinity with the hashtag of the players that you saw on screen a second ago. Our next map is going to be Expedition Lost before we're heading over into Deadwing, our 4-player map here. And yeah, right now, I really just want to see what Hydra has planned here. I feel at some point he will have to start mixing strategies up a bit. This was, of course, as you already said, Red, a bit of an awkward map for him to play. We didn't see that too much in the tournament yet. But PartinG, for him, everything is going according to plan so far.
Yeah, I think with the map list just on the screen, you can definitely see the dynamic between the players picking one map, then the other player picking another map. And Expedition Lost is definitely Hydra's pick. Yeah. With the back rocks on this map, a lot more possibilities for the Zerg and easier third base, and this should be much more suitable for Hydra's playstyle.
And of course, for Hydra, it's really important to make a dent into PartinG's defense, I want to say. If he wins now on a map that really favors him as a Zerg player, then he has a pretty good standing going into the rest of the series. But if PartinG takes him down now, and then we play on Deadwing next, that might be exactly what Hydra isn't. Like, Hydra might just like fall off completely from that point on.
Yeah, especially with a player who's as confident as PartinG, it might be really crucial to let him know that yes, he is mortal, and that even gods can bleed. So Hydra is going to really be looking to do something in this game. And from what we saw in the last game, the +1 melee, I kind of like it. It's really good against a guy who likes heavy gateway forces, because he doesn't have any armor upgrades, so the Lings are going to do much better. And I like the idea that Hydra had, and on this map he's going to be able to do a lot with those Zerglings, for sure.
Yeah, he might go for the same upgrade style again. This time on map number 2, Expedition Lost, we have down to the bottom left with a 1-0 lead in the best-of-7 series in our grand final. We have a PartinG. 78% of our viewers think that PartinG is going to take the series against this Zerg opponent. He is a beast in the PvZ. He's going up against the Zerg player in blue. Starting to the top right of the map, it is Hydra.
I'm really curious to see if PartinG is just going to stick with what works for him. I know he likes to play Nexus first, and he did it against Live quite a bit in the GSI finals. But in this tournament, he seems to do a little bit less, and it kind of makes sense because he was at 3-3 against Live, and in the last game, he did go for it Nexus first, and he played against a 9 pool, and that's why he's not a GSL champion right now. So it must be really, really scary for him, but at the same time, I don't think Hydra is a player that really does that early pool, and Hydra, for now, building up quite a bit of money, but he'll probably go for the gateway still.
Yeah, and well, we have Overlords now, of course, going cross-map, trying to find out what PartinG is going to do. And PartinG is moving out with that one probe straight away. So he's building up that mineral account. He's just like checking what's going on down here. Starts with the scouting. And for PartinG, it's really just like important to, if he gets a second victory here, then I feel he has an incredible position in this best-of-7 series. And with a 2-0 lead in a series like this, and especially with the confidence that he has, Hydra has to be worried already about facing such a strong opponent in this matchup. There's the Nexus first. And PartinG, I mean, I would personally expect that he is just like going to try and stick with his guns here.
Yeah, this is a really interesting opening from Hydra, actually. He does go 15 pool, but immediately drops a hatchery at the gold. And he was also doing this in his games against Rogue on this map. PartinG's not going to scout that, and something like this could really throw off PartinG. All the timings kind of change when you get that much more mineral income from the gold minerals. So this is a really interesting opening, and Hydra really not afraid to switch things up.
PartinG should realize pretty soon that this is going on. He will see the pool, he will see that the pool is already completed, and if he just has a look at the number of drones that his opponent has, he should realize that there has to be something else on the map. And with there being no hatchery at the natural, the only other logical choice would be to go to the gold expansion and check that out. Of course, the distance between the gold base and the main is pretty huge, so defense is a bit more difficult, especially since you can just simply use the queen to walk over there. PartinG doesn't really have an opportunity to go for any kind of forge pressure just yet with cannons, since he started things off with a gateway, but we still have him with that probe being around and already in the know what's going on.
Yeah, and Hydra already transferring some drones over there, so his mineral will take a huge spike very, very soon. I still think this is probably pretty okay from PartinG because he did go for that Nexus first, so his economy is also quite strong. And this hatchery in the gold is in such a position that if PartinG right now makes a decision to do something like an Immortal all-in, which he's originally famous for, that's going to be really, really difficult to stop for Hydra.
Yeah, the Soul Train. The first person actually to take that down was back in the day even Live. That was at one of the Blizzard tournament, the Invitationals that we had, I think, at the end of 2012. And, well, PartinG once again with the scout in the main base here. This time the probe is not going to make it, but he could definitely go for his key mark trade there and try to go for the Immortal push. At the same time, we're having, of course, Hydra also in a position where he knows about that danger. Question is really how he's going to play at this point. I feel from his point of view, it's pretty tricky. You always want to drone as much as you can, and if you get that with the gold expansion, you have an incredible income, but if you over drone just a bit too much, PartinG is going to take you down.
Yeah, and Hydra is getting that early speed, which is very, very useful. And the Stalker is on the way for PartinG, but I am most interested in which building, and it will be that robotics facility, so it will be an Immortal all-in. And I am very afraid for Hydra right now, because this is going to be so hard to stop. He is so close to PartinG's base, and that's such a tight area where that gold base is located. Force fields are extra powerful.
What do you think he could do against this? I mean, you would expect that he knows that this is an option, that this could be a problem. How do you think he's going to react?
Yeah, this is kind of the response that you ask from Protoss, like, hey, I have a hatchery in the middle of the map. Yeah, make Immortals and come kill me. So he is getting that really fast lair, which I really, really like. With that, he might be able to get Hydras out quick enough, but it's going to be a race against the clock because this attack is going to come fast. I think if PartinG waits for 3 Immortals, then maybe the Hydras are out in time. If he goes with 2, maybe Hydra can make it.
We already have another base coming up for Hydra now. A Zerg player going into the 3rd hatch, adding a lot of gas. Now, minerals are not going to be a problem for him. He's currently looking at 31 harvesters. He doesn't have to go to a huge harvester count in this case. Being behind PartinG just a bit is all right, since he has that gold expansion and that extra mineral income. So that kind of makes up for that. Getting that gas up is, of course, extremely important. And as Red already said, we need to see him going into that tech immediately, because we have PartinG preparing everything now, even starting things off with Warp Prism here to apply some pressure with Warp-ins.
I'm not sure I like that decision to get an Observer. That's just going to slow down his attack quite a bit, which might be just a few extra seconds that Hydra is going to need. He is getting additional 4 gateways. There's the Hydra then coming down as well. And this Warp Prism, yes, it does get spotted. So PartinG, if he was looking for a force field on the ramp, I doubt he's going to get it.
Yeah, at the same time, also with that 3rd base that Hydra is currently building, it's not only another mineral line and 2 additional gas that you get, but Larva is going to be extremely important with this, and especially with the defense. He needs to rush all of those units out when he sees the attack coming, and that is going to help him significantly. Probe already being dropped, the forward pylon is being put into place, and of course with the Warp Prism being spotted earlier, Hydra is already waiting for it and has the units ready in the main base.
Yeah, he is ready, but this is still quite a few Zealots. I'm not sure he has enough Zerglings. There are 5 Hydras in production. He does have some creep on the ramp, but here we go. PartinG still moving forward with quite a few Zealots, and only Lings here so far that needs to come Hydras out of those eggs. And there are 2 right now, and I think Hydra just barely will have enough, but he will drop a Queen, which will hurt his production. And there's a Forces on the ramp, and more units. The Lings do get up, and now PartinG, don't lose your Warp Prism. There are Hydras here, and Hydra does a good job defending against this.
And PartinG added a lot of gateways in the meantime. He started his Immortal production, but so far Hydra is doing a very good job here. We're having him at 78 supply already. He has his first 10 Hydras. He's going for range. We're seeing him adding evolution chambers, but look at all those force fields for PartinG. Oh, but the Warp Prism is not going to make it here.
That was a really bad mistake by PartinG. There was no reason to lose that Warp Prism, and I'm not sure why he's warping in all these sentries on the right side of the map. Your Immortals are not even close to here. Are they on the way across the map? Looks like he just wants to break the rocks, but oh, he's not. He canceled his Immortal. He's not Immortal all-inning. This is very, very weird.
He just went for a massive amount of gateways and is trying to kill his opponent with gateway pressure. There's 8 gateways for him already.
Oh, getting these rocks actually a really big deal, and now the gold place is completely exposed. I am so confused by PartinG's moves this game, but it seems to work out really, really well so far. Hydra has to go all the way around. He does take off 1 Stalker. The fight is going, and looks like Hydra, with all his Hydras coming from the back, he will be able to clean this up eventually.
Yeah, it definitely should be, especially since the Hydras are moving in. He did not pull the drones, which was an option for him here. But now he starts sniping the sentries, and that is amazing for him. So much gas that goes down the drain. PartinG is losing a lot of his units at this point, and more reinforcements are rushing in. That Warp Prism is finally arriving with the army too. Can be used for another round of warp-ins, but sentries are dying left, right, bottom, and center, and PartinG is losing so many of them. He's also running out of energy on the remaining ones.
Yeah, PartinG is losing way too many units here. The only danger for Hydra right now is the map layout and the fact that these rocks are down. Sentries are still very, very potent, but PartinG right now, I don't think that he can afford to lose that many sentries. The Hydras are so good against Stalkers and Zealot, and once again, PartinG tries to push in.
PartinG is going straight in, the Zerglings closing the distance, Hydra list melting away everything, taking down those Zealots already, the drones coming off the mineral line, trying to attack the back line here. Most of the sentries are already gone, the Hydras are just like sort of stepping forward, taking out Stalker after Stalker, going straight for the kill here. Army supply is much better for Hydra right now. He needs his reinforcements in position on the other hand, and those rocks are still a big, big problem. Units have to go all the way around towards the gold base, but it looks like eventually he should be able to push this back, and he's even aiming for the Warp Prism and takes it down.
Yeah, what an incredible engagement from PartinG, and the fact that he took down those rocks is hurting Hydra so much. All his reinforcements have to come all the way from the main. There are some links that he's forgetting. He could really use them right now. The Stalkers are still going strong, and this is so close, but Hydra's also lost so many workers. I don't know if he can afford to replace all this army.
Forgetting about those Zerglings, definitely a big deal. That's a huge chunk of resource that he does not use to take down his opponent, and with continuous whelpings from PartinG, he might be able to pull this off after all. The Zerglings, of course, the buffer that you always try to create between your Hydra list and your opponent's Gateway army, trying to protect the Hydra list. But with the Zerglings being completely forgotten, the Hydras were exposed, he lost a lot of those, and now suddenly PartinG turned things around, is taking the supply lead and army supply, and goes straight for the base, takes down the gold, and puts Hydra in a really difficult position.
Yeah, the advantage from the gold base is now completely gone, and it resets the game into 2 base against 2 base, and Hydra doesn't even have good saturation, so PartinG is just going to be able to make Stalkers without blink and probably eventually overwhelm these Lings and Zergs. And what a crazy decision to just out of the blue cancel your Immortals, be like, okay, I'm just going to cancel your rocks, and you can't reinforce. I didn't realize that was even a strategy on this map, but PartinG, I wonder if it's something he prepared, if he did it on the fly. He's picking off everything right now.
Yeah, at the same time, he has way too much for Hydra to handle at this point. The Hydra count is extremely low right now, and he loses everything here. All of a sudden, PartinG about to take map number 2. It looked really good for Hydra, but he turned around, GG, and PartinG takes the second map.
Yeah, I just can't get over, like, the strategic thinking of using the map layout, breaking the rocks. Like, if he's done that before on this map against someone who takes the gold, which almost never happens anyway, but it worked out so well for him, and now he's up 2-0, and he's probably still just as confident and cocky as he was before the series.
But don't you think that forgetting about those 10 Zerglings that we saw there really changed it? Because if you have those 10 Zerglings in, then it's really difficult for PartinG to take down the Hydra list. And that fight was so close. Yeah. If he just loses one more wave, then suddenly it just completely turns in favor of Hydra, and he wins that easy. But all of a sudden, with that army forgotten, even he could have even just like used a few, either the Zerglings or the Hydras to take down the rocks and open up that second path.
Yeah, you're totally right. It was so close at some points that any units at all could have made or changed the tide of the battle. I think it was a little bit of a dicey strategy. It's kind of crazy that it worked. I think an original Immortal All-In might have been better. Maybe he saw how fast the Lair was. That's why he changed his mind. But yeah, Hydra, unfortunately, leaving those Lings behind, and that could have changed the whole game around. And that was his map.
Exactly.
And now we're going to Deathwing, and it's going to get more difficult because PartinG's already shown how strong he is on this map.
I think this is a really big blow to Hydra now, because I feel like he really had this. It was close, but I think if he uses those Lings or opens up that path with a few Hydras before the main attack of PartinG happens, he has a really good chance of taking this map. If he wins that fight and is on 3 bases with the gold as well, has the tech, PartinG only relying on gateway units, and from that point on, he would have had a huge presence on the map. As it happens, he loses map number 2, is now suddenly down 0-2 in the best-of-7 series, and we're going into maps that PartinG is going to be a lot more confident in playing. Like, this was Hydra's map, and losing it like this, I feel this is going to be pretty problematic from a psychological point of view.
Yeah, definitely. And like we said earlier, you need to kill PartinG early. You need to make him feel that he's mortal, that he can lose games. And now on Deathwing, I mean, if you get cross positions, it's going to get so tough. But I think everything else Hydra was doing in that game, the creep spread, the injects, the micro-macro, it was pretty much on point. So he can go toe-to-toe with PartinG. It's important that right now he doesn't lose faith in his own abilities.
I think the decision-making here was definitely absolutely top-notch. Was exactly what he needed. Just a few of the unit controls that we saw there. But besides that, if he gets a good grasp on that, I think he can take down PartinG. The problem is, I think he needs to win this map right now. If you go down 0-3, like, who's able to turn a series like that around? Very few players in final matches have been able to do that. Down to the bottom right now with a 2-0 lead in the best-of-7. We have our Protoss player here on Deathwing. It is PartinG. And up to the top right, the Root Gaming player. So far, not successful in this series, but showing some very, very nice moments. It is the Zerg player in blue. It is Hydra.
Yeah, Hydra definitely shown all throughout the tournament that he's definitely a very original player. All his builds are not really run-of-the-mill that you see everywhere else. It's always something unique. And I wonder if he's got something planned for this map. We do see that it's vertical positions, so like I've been saying the whole time without really seeing Swarm Host, on these positions, they are actually very strong.
Yeah, we've seen Swarmhouse, I think, once. That was in the quarterfinal. And besides that, most players not really going for them. Jaedong with an attempt in one of his matches against Terran that didn't really work out in his favor. Right now, the Overlord Scout also perfect for him. He will find PartinG on the first position, so that is definitely going to help him.
And look at this, already a Geyser going up for Hydra. So once again, a cheeky build from him. Looks like he will go for the 14-14. And this one is pretty much designed to cancel the Nexus first or any kind of too greedy plays.
Didn't we see that already against PartinG in one of his series?
You did it,
exactly,
yes.
on this map. And back then, PartinG did not go for the Nexus first, but this time we actually have the structure there. The last time that it was played against PartinG, he went for the gateway first and had an amazing time in the game. Right now, this has actually a lot of potential.
Yeah, he does send out that scout, so he will see fast what's going on. But of course, with that late gateway, I think there's almost no way that Protoss can defend this early Nexus. So the build order is working out really, really well. And it seems like PartinG seems to think that he knows Hydra, but Hydra comes with another surprise once again.
So for you personally, how much damage do you think Hydra is going to be able to do with this?
I think he's at least going to be able to cancel the Nexus, and then I think PartinG also knows what to do as soon as he sees this. He knows that he has to chrono boost the Zealot, place buildings to block off the way to the mineral line, so probably not too many probe kills, but just canceling the Nexus already, he's going to be able to drop 2 hatches of his own and take a really nice position.
Well, at this point, we have speed already started. The Zerglings are on the way. PartinG, of course, knows what's coming. He is going into a forge, trying to add additional cannons to this too. And, well, he knows what's going on right now. So I'm really curious to see how he's going to try and defend this.
Yeah, it looks like the rally point of the gateway is actually set down to the natural. So PartinG looks to be quite ambitious. I'm not sure if he can defend this. He is making a pylon. So maybe he wants to just block off with the rocks down by the ramp and just hold over there. But I think if he defends the Nexus, he might just lose way more than he should.
If he can pull it off, of course, then he's going to be in an amazing position, but it's going to be extremely difficult. He's pulling the probes, trying to defend against the Zerglings. Speed is not done yet. We have the first cannon already building. He's also going straight for the core, using that as a wall against those Lings, and we still have him chasing them away with the probes, with the Zealot, but the reinforcements for Hydra, they are on their way.
Yeah, really interesting to get this forge and put that cannon in that position. I've not seen this kind of defense before. Speed is done, but there are 2 Zealots, so the Lings not able to do too much against us, and the cannon does finish.
Yeah, one of the probes is down, but that's the only thing that he was able to kill so far. 1 worker, and not more than that. The cannon is there, and now he can always try and poke, do a bit of damage to those Lings, force them back. Reinforcements for Hydra on their way, and this time he's taking the fight, actually, trying to take even more down. One of the Zealots is gone, but still, we have PartinG still in an awkward spot.
Yeah, big surround on the Zealot, and it will go down. The Mothership Core is down the way, fighting the cannon. This could be a big mistake. Will he be able to take it down? One more Zealot does go down, and yes, he will fight the cannon, and PartinG retreats back to his main base.
And PartinG is going to regret this now. Suddenly the Zerglings heading straight into the main base. There's no cannon just yet. We have Hydra going for it. He's trying to finish it off right now, taking down the Zealot and focusing straight on those Harvesters. And PartinG, he's losing so much. GG, and Hydra takes this 3rd game.
Yeah, and like we said, he tried to defend on the low ground, and it proved to be a big, big mistake, losing everything there to Hydra. And such a nice build order win for him. He's right back in it, only 1 game down now. Like you said, that game was so important to take a win on PartinG's map, and now the next map is going to be Overgrowth, which is once again Hydra's pick.
And you know what? What I really want to know, like immediately when you saw what was going on there, the first thing that you said is like, okay, he will lose that Nexus, he needs to defend there, he can still bounce back, but this is a loss, or like this is a situation where he has to accept the loss. PartinG, with all the confidence that we talked about earlier, he was just looking at the situation, was saying like, no, I can't defend this. And he couldn't. If he plays this safe, do you think he would have been in a spot where he could have recovered?
Yeah, if you play it safe, you're always going to be a little bit behind, but you're not going to lose the game right away. And you can actually play it out into a longer game from that. But at the same time, it did look kind of like really, really close at certain points, like when the cannon finished.
Yeah.
If he would have had maybe a few probes blocking the cannon surface area, if the Mothership Core pops out a little bit sooner. So it was kind of like really close. For a while, I actually thought he was going to do it. But the knowledge that I apparently have that you cannot hold the Nexus still stands today. And maybe next time PartinG can show us what exactly he had in mind with that defense, because it looks really pre-planned.
Yeah. And he nearly pulled it off, but Hydra takes this game, and this was an extremely important one. If you lose it here and you need to win four games in a row, who's really going to be able to pull that off? One of the few people that I actually remember that was able to turn an 0-3 into a 4-3 was Life versus Dong Ragu at Iron Squid. It was an absolutely amazing series back then, but very, very few players will be able to make that happen. And in this case, this was an important map for him right now. So Hydra could potentially turn this into a tie with another victory.
Yeah, and I think he's looking poised to do that on Overgrowth. A great map for Zerg against Protoss. And it's going to be a treat just to see what kind of opening he goes for, because he hasn't really done anything standard so far at all.
At the same time, though, PartinG winning several games on this map already. I mean, the one game against Rogue with that defense in the middle game, that was, of course, absolutely amazing. Right now, we're going into our fourth game in the series. We are on Overgrowth and starting to the bottom left after suffering the first loss against Zerg in this tournament is PartinG. Up to the top right, cross position. We have the Zerg player. He's finally done it, taking the map of his opponent. Can he tie the series up? We have Hydra.
Yeah, and just an Overlord on the way, so no crazy early pulls going on so far. And I wonder, do you think PartinG still feels like he's playing his own show match?
I think so, yeah. Knowing PartinG, I pretty much think that he is like, all right, I lost the map, I don't really care about that. I could have pulled it off. I should have maybe used a few more probes for the defense, but that should have been mine. I think he's still feeling extremely confident. PartinG has a lot of confidence in situations like this, and I don't think that is like the single map loss is going to change that. If he loses here, on the other hand, if it's suddenly a tie, then it's a different story.
Yeah, we see actually once again the gas going down, and PartinG with his tail between his legs does decide to go for the gateway. So in this particular game, PartinG's fear is right. It's a good instinct. He's going to be much better prepared against his same build this time. But he still can't be too greedy and really take a fast Nexus, because sometimes people with the gateway first, they still go for a very greedy Nexus, and it's still very dangerous. But things are looking good with the openings for PartinG this time.
Hydra definitely in a position where he now gains a bit of momentum. Of course, he was trying to go into a similar style. We saw PartinG actually opening up with the Nexus first several times against Zerg already. So this was a gamble that he took there, but the opening is, of course, a bit better for the Protoss player now. Gateway into Nexus in this case, and the scout of the Protoss up to the top right reveals the strategy of Hydra. PartinG knows exactly what he's up against, and that's already half the battle.
Yeah, and he does drop the Nexus and immediately a pylon as well at the wall. And so I think he's just going to look to wall off as soon as possible with 2 additional gateways. Put a Zealot nicely in a tight spot in the wall, and then just be totally fine against any amount of Zerglings that are being made by Hydra.
Yeah, we see 6 Zerglings already in production. Hydra going to apply that pressure, sending out a drone for an expansion. Going to take that now too. He, of course, needs to try and at least apply some pressure, but he also has to build up that drone count to get an economy so that he can go into that mid-game.
Yeah, and from here, what can Hydra do? We've already seen that he really likes gold bases. He is getting another 4 links, so that's going to be 10 links total. His Overlord does now spot what is going on. It's a Forge and a gateway, a cybernetics core in the wall, and so that's pretty airtight. There's nothing coming in from that angle.
Yeah, Lings especially cannot really break through that. I mean, we have for them, of course, attacking that pylon, but with the 1 probe already at the wall, he could always use that Zealot and move over there. Maybe it's just like taking that lost 2 and start to wall off with another set of structures there. We don't have him with a cannon just yet, but he is placing down another structure. He's going straight for a second gateway and actually losing 1 pylon, unpowering that cybernetics core, which is going to delay that warp tech for quite some time. He could go for a cannon, and he doesn't have the resources just yet.
Yeah, a bit of Sim City so far from PartinG. He will probably lose that cybernetics core, which is really annoying, but here is the mothership core, which will take very slow shots at the links, will eventually clean it up. But the cybernetics core does fall. That's really nice for Hydra, but I'm not sure if it's worth the amount of Zerglings he did produce.
He lost 4. I mean, he still has the Zerglings on the map, so that helps him to scout for probes, that helps him to make sure that there's no pylon. It's, of course, a commitment, but don't you think that it's worth it, like, considering how much he actually delayed the tech?
Yeah, he also killed a pylon there and forced a lot of buildings out of PartinG. He's got this really awkward wall right now. He is pretty safe now, but yeah, I think it probably is worth it, and it probably does reset the game quite a bit.
I mean, at this point, Hydra knows that he can easily get the third base now. He knows, okay, I killed your cybernetics core before we have warp gate. There's nothing that you can attack me with. I killed the probe on the map, so cannon's also not an option for you. And he can just safely take this base. He has some time where he can just simply like drone up, get his tech running, and the Zerglings make sure that he sees everything that's going on the map.
Yeah, and he is droning as much as possible. 6 drones constantly in production. That third base is going down. PartinG now has built up quite a bit of gas, so we're kind of waiting for him to go for any kind of tech building. And with the +1 going, this is something we've already seen from him quite a bit. He does love to get that upgrade and then transition into a third base with Blink.
Yeah, and the Zerglings are still there. So far, PartinG doesn't have an option to really move out of this just yet. He's, of course, trying to get his warp gate research for the warp-ins. Mothership Core is still scouting, and with the Mothership Core, this is the only tool that he can really send out, since there is no anti-air for the Zerg player except for those queens. So at this point, he's going to find out that there is a third base. He's going to scout everything that is happening there. The queen is walking over towards the third, so the Mothership Core can't really stay too long. But at least PartinG has a bit of an idea of what's happening.
Yeah, and PartinG is adding a third gateway, getting his extra geysers, getting a perfect setup to soon move out with that +1. With that +1, he'll be able to fight infinite amount of Zerglings pretty much with his Zealots. And I think we're going into a macro game on Overgrowth. And now it's up to Hydra. What does he wants to do when he does get that lair? He does get a Roach Warren as well, and everything is looking pretty standard so far.
Yeah, a lot of gas for him now as well. Looking at this opening that we had and a bit of delay with the tech, how would you judge Hydra's position now?
I honestly, it's really hard to say after an opening like that, but things are looking pretty normal. There's about a 10-worker lead for Hydra, but at the same time, PartinG had that Nexus so early, he's been making a lot of probes, and if Hydra lets PartinG expand with just 2 sentries and 1 Zealot, that's a very early third Nexus, and in that case, I think things are looking pretty okay for PartinG.
And he has the Zergling still over there, but of course he doesn't have enough units to really stop this. PartinG is trying to get this third base right now. The Zergling's still moving in, moving out. There come those additional sentries. He's not producing anything just yet. We have a lot of additional drones for Hydra instead, and that third base economy is looking pretty solid.
And that's a 9-minute third, a little bit later perhaps than we sometimes see, but still pretty early. Hydra didn't really invest into too many Zerglings, just been spamming drones non-stop, getting his Hydra Den up, has the Roach Warren up, and I think he likes to play Roach Hydra against Protoss quite a bit. And this is a map where if you break the rocks between the second and the third base, there's quite a few angles you can actually come from, so mid-game pushes are pretty dangerous here.
PartinG is going for the Twilight Council again, and we've seen in the matches against Rogue and other Zerg players how efficiently he's going to use those force fields, and also, of course, the Blink Stalkers themselves. He can really just do so much with them, just blinking back with the first wave, and it's just like the amount of damage that he did against Rogue especially. I mean, this is still going to haunt Zerg players all over the planet, so I feel that Hydra knows exactly what he's in for now.
Yeah, and he does put the Chrono Boost into the Forge, getting that +2 and into the Blink. Same time warping in some Stalkers, so just from the production tab, it's pretty much known what PartinG wants to do. Like you said, great with those Stalkers, and does spot the Hydras as well. Is Hydra getting any tech? No, he's just getting a hatchery at the gold, and I think we might see a similar game between True and PartinG, where he had those tons of force fields, and True looked like he was going to win, but PartinG just held so well. He's going to have to do the same here, because Hydra's making a ton of Roach Hydra in this game.
That was actually the game that I was trying to refer to as well. I mixed it up with Rogue, but it was, of course, True, as you already pointed out there. The one thing that I find a bit like lacking is the creep spread that we're seeing from Hydra now. It's not horrible. There is some creep spread towards that gold base that he's currently taking, but with a better creep spread, I feel like he might have even had an opportunity to execute a bit of pressure with the Hydra list as fast as he got that tech out. Not quite. Blink is going to be there. It's always a huge risk that you run. But we actually see also the infestation pit being built now, and with that we could finally see maybe some swarm hosts with this too.
Yeah, and here's the poke from PartinG, but if you look at the army supply, he's down by about 40, so this is a really dangerous poke. Luckily, he does have that Mothership Core. The Hydras are way spread out. He'll be able to shoot at the mineral line though. It gets a few drones. Just 3 of them. Pretty nice, and he'll book it out of here in due time, because he doesn't have enough at all to face Hydra right now.
This is one of those things that did a lot of damage in earlier matches that PartinG played, where he just used those force fields to trap a couple of Hydras that were going onto the high ground to try and defend, and then suddenly he could isolate them. In this case, that didn't really happen. Army supply, by the way, for Hydra is absolutely amazing right now. He's already at 200 overall supply. He's looking at 126 army supply, and that's a pretty strong force that he has there. It's all about PartinG's force fields at this point.
Look at the mini-map, the setup from Hydra. He's breaking down the rocks. He's going to do a massive, massive attack. And with the amount of sentries, PartinG's going to have so many force fields, and he drops perfect on the right side, 5 of them blocking out the whole army, and on the left side, and this is PartinG's trademark play.
But he's also starting to lose a few of the sentries here, and he's running out of energy. Once those force fields are gone, he might be in trouble. It's 111 army supply against 66. He's trying to make his way up that ramp. Here comes the time warp from the Mothership Core. Mothership Core is already gone. The sentry count is going down very, very fast. The Immortal is doing a lot of damage, and Hydra is relentlessly sending units up that ramp, and look at all that damage. PartinG is suddenly in trouble and trying to retreat here.
Everything is dying, and PartinG drops below 100 supply. And is Hydra really doing this? With a big Hydra roach push, he's killing everything. The Immortal goes down, and he's at the natural front of PartinG's base. And just look at the stream on the minimap. Everything is coming to PartinG's base, and I just don't think he's going to have enough.
At this point, we're just having more and more units joining the fun here, and as long as he can keep that pressure up, he's going to be in a great spot. That gold base is still mining. The Forge already gone. If he can snipe those pylons as well, that would be great. He's still 40 supply ahead of his opponent, nearly doubling his army supply. And Hydra, he is going for it, executing that pressure. We still have a few units over at that gold base from PartinG, or at least we had for a second. He has those pylons there, and he was using them to warp in Zealots, but he sees the Warp Prism now, takes down the pylon. He knows that he has to defend, and at the same time, he's still pressuring the Protoss.
Yeah, the PartinG Warp Prism being so annoying, but when these units do join up, it's going to be such a big force. But this Warp Prism keeping Hydra busy right now might give PartinG another small chance in this game. If he can get enough Stalkers with Blink, with +2, and he beats his army once, he might be able to swing the momentum back in his favor.
This is a pretty big Stalker army that we have down there, but the reinforcements are rushing in. Suddenly there's Zerglings everywhere, trying to create that buffer that he needs. He split a few forces over to attack that third base. We have the Lings going strong against those Stalkers, and in the back, the Hydras and Roaches are still doing damage. He needs his entire army up if he really wants to take down that Protoss force, though.
Honestly, I'm not sure if Hydra can afford to split off his army, because this is still so many Stalkers, but looks like without the force fields, they're just a little bit too weak against these massive amounts of Hydras. At the same time, the Warp Prism finally will get cleaned up. Yes, it does.
Huge step for him now.
Yeah, definitely very big. PartinG with that Warp Prism can definitely make miracles happen. And now there's such a big army, 120 army supply right outside of PartinG's front door. And he blinks forward, very bold move. There's so many roaches here to greet him. Everything is dying right now.
One of the sentries is down, but a lot of kills thanks to that aggressive blink forward. But he might have gambled a bit too much here. PartinG is losing a lot, and he's losing units over at the third base as well. Suddenly we have this entire army moving in. The probes are dying already, and the rest of the Stalkers is being pushed back. Hydra with the aggression party, with the GG, and Hydra ties the series up, takes game number 4 against the Protoss player.
All right, Calder, we are definitely now in the finals of the Gfinity tournament, and no longer in PartinG's self-organized show match, because the standing now is 2-2, and Hydra with a great decision to go for that really big mid-game push. Great map to do that. He came in from all the angles, and even though there were so many sentries, PartinG just barely could not defend.
I have to say, like, how pissed do you think Hydra is right now that he forgot those Zerglings on the second map?
Yeah, he could have possibly been looking at a 3-1, which would have been absolutely insane, but still, this is so close right now, and Hydra definitely showing that what he was saying in the pregame interview, that he can definitely win. He's proving himself right now.
Yeah, that was really, really nice. I mean, we have a 2-2 right now. We have also a very, very short break, since apparently PartinG is going to the bathroom, so apparently he needs a bit of a break. Did maybe not expect that he is struggling this much against Hydra. At the beginning, everything was looking absolutely amazing for him, but now suddenly he is tied with his opponent, and the next game is going to determine a lot. I mean, if PartinG loses the next one, is suddenly down in the series. I don't think that he ever even expected this could be possible.
Yeah, these are actually the first 2 maps that PartinG has not only lost in this tournament, but also if you count the SSL qualifiers, in which he played a bunch of Zergs. The first 2 maps that he's lost in maybe 5 or 6 days, in which he played a lot of games. So one has to wonder, like, PartinG with his little break, he's got a lot to think about right now.
And in between, we can just throw over to analysis while we're waiting for PartinG to hear what the guys have been saying about the 4 maps so far, and of course giving us a bit of an outlook of what's going on or what they expect to happen in the next few maps.
Hello everybody, we got jumping right into that just as we sit down. Thank you, Caldor and Rhett, for that unappreciated throw. What a game so far. Kind of unexpected. Obviously, Demuslim, you went for the 4-2 way of doing it, and well, we're at 2-2 right now. PartinG being taken by surprise by the looks of it.
I'm actually very surprised at how well Hydra's playing. Like, I know he's really, really freaking good, but the fact that he's on even keel with PartinG right now, 2-2. Like, we saw PartinG demolish every other Zerg in the tournament, even Soulkey, who I class as one of the best Zergs on the planet. So, Hydra's really proving himself this tournament, man. Like, he's in the final. He's 2-2 with possibly the best PvZ, if not the best PvZ in the world right now. Like, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's just not phased, is he?
No, like you look at him every time, it's just like,
yeah,
there's no frustration or anything. It's just calmly sat there. Yeah, I'm playing my game. I know what I'm doing.
No, it's cool to see for sure. Obviously, this is the first kind of major splash he's made in a major event in Starcraft 2, and the fact that he's going toe to toe with PartinG, who's obviously a god.
He's had something up his sleeve, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And I mean, it could have gone the other way, like the caster said. It could technically be 3-1 for him right now as well. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy to see. I feel like PartinG must be shaking in his boots a little bit.
We talked about overconfidence, didn't we? And
yeah. And I don't feel like, even though PartinG does come across very confident and cocky, I don't feel like that would be too much of a factor, but I feel like it's definitely affect him in a little bit. And I feel like going for a toilet break isn't necessarily because he needs to go to the toilet. I feel like it's more of I feel like he just needs to recuperate a little bit. I think he might need to go for the toilet. I don't know. Who knows? But I feel like it's definitely just to kind of compose himself a little bit, because I definitely feel like he's shaking in his boots.
Okay, well, we're still going to be waiting just for the players to go out. They need this little break to obviously get themselves together. It's not just a casual comfort break. But I think PartinG right now must be feeling like, obviously we spoke about him feeling pressured, but he had the full confidence going into it. And now he must be looking at the game like, okay, this isn't going how I planned. What do I do to change this around? And, well, what advice could you give him, Coach Bling?
Coach Bling?
Coach Bling's got to up his game right now. Shouldn't you be talking to him, actually?
You know what it is as well, because Hydra's kind of playing a bit of an unorthodox style as well. As we saw in Expedition Lost, he took the goal base. PartinG adapted to that really well. I've always said that PartinG's very, very good in those situations. He's kind of used to it. He's used to being put in those, strange and unorthodox games. But, yeah, it seems like Hydra's kind of got his number in that. It felt like it was going to go Hydra's way on the Expedition Lost game, but somehow PartinG managed to work his magic and win. But in the other two games, yeah, they were a bit gimmicky, and it seems like Hydra's kind of getting the edge of him in that area, and that's not necessarily a good thing for me.
Well, momentum's definitely for Hydra right now. I mean, PartinG, he was 2-0 ahead and looking pretty solid. Like, there was one of the games that was a bit shaky on Expedition Lost. Like, it was quite a tough victory for him to get. Like, killed the rocks and denied the army from getting around, which was really, like, that was pretty sick. Then when he lost his Warp Prism, it was still, like, tooth and nail, But, like, the fact that Hydra's just won 2 games in a row, and this Overgrowth game didn't look close at all. Like, he really barrel rolled him, and I haven't seen anybody do that to PartinG. So the fact that he's just taking a break right now. I've also seen PartinG take a break when he won WCS back in China. He was 2-0 down against Suppy, and then he took a break, like, recomposed himself, then came back and won 3-2. So, he can do it. He can do it.
This break could be the defining moment for the rest of this game. But Caldor and Rhett are ready now. It's going to be all action once again. And I won't throw to these guys without telling them so they can know. Over to you, lads.
PartinG is back, so he took those few minutes that Ben was just like talking about. And that might be exactly what he needed here, because currently the momentum definitely in favor of our Zerg player. And he has shown just now that PartinG is not going to have as an easy time as he thought he would have. And that might give PartinG a bit of a problem with his confidence. You asked me earlier when he won the first map, and Hydra won the first map, if that's maybe the moment where PartinG says, all right, this is not going to be a cakewalk. And back then I would say, like, nope, not really. PartinG is really going to be like confident enough about that. But now, that's a different story. Suddenly be tied with a Zerg player, I don't think he'd expected that at all.
Right, and we don't know what's happening in the next few games, because after all, Hydra is teammates with Cat, so you can expect pretty much anything from this guy.
Very, very true. So maybe we're going to see a bit of a Cat's build here. Currently what we're seeing, though, is PartinG starting to the bottom right. Our Protoss player having a bit of a tough time, so give it up for PartinG. All the way to the left side of the map, we have our Zerg player, the first one to take a map of PartinG, the first Zerg player to accomplish that at this tournament, and he already won 2. It is Farut Gaming, Hydra.
And we are on Catalina, and this is definitely a map that PartinG picked, but as we get further and further in the best of 7, it's definitely going to be the more balanced maps and the maps they don't really want to really pick. We still have Infernal Pools left as well, which is kind of a crazy map for ZVP. But on this map, it's kind of interesting to go into this one from Overgrowth, where we just saw a really big Roach Hydra push, because I feel like that's also really, really strong on this map.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, Hydra showed us several times that he doesn't have that nickname for no reason. He really, really likes that unit.
Yeah.
He's been showcasing it on 2 of the maps already, and it was just amazing how he was able to really pressure PartinG with that. So PartinG has to step things up a bit and needs to play this also a bit careful. We're having also a very like economy-based opening or a very defensive opening for Hydra, not being too risky, not going into a hatch first. He's really not quite sure what he's up against right now, and he knows that PartinG really likes to be aggressive as well, so playing it safe and sound for now.
Yeah, he dropped the 15 pool, and I wonder if the fact that Hydra said that he watched all the GSL games is helping PartinG here, because so far we've not seen him cannon rush at all, which he was doing before in some of his games, and maybe that's what the 15 pool was for, but no, we see the standard PartinG opening 13 gate into 17 Nexus.
Do you think that cannon rush are something that PartinG should use right now? Do you think that could be successful against Hydra, considering that Hydra kind of expects that to a certain extent?
It almost would be kind of weird to see a best of 7 go all the way and not see a single cannon rush, just because of how popular it is. But at the same time, Hydra does seem pretty prepared, but I'm pretty sure in the next few games there is going to be a game where he will 15 hatch.
Well, at this point right now, we're having Hydra, of course, going into the 15 pool, into hatch. He started with the expansion there. We're starting with the Queens right now. This is definitely one of those crossroad maps that we have. It's a 2-2 in the best of 7. And whoever takes this map only needs 1 additional win, which puts a lot of pressure on the opponent's player. Suddenly there we have the 3rd base already built. The probe, of course, has been spotted and is currently being chased down by Zerglings to deny scouting information to PartinG.
Yeah, and now we have to wait and see when Hydra decides to take his Geyser, because even though the core wasn't directly after the gate, it's still a pretty fast core. And I feel like if you go without speedlings against any kind of heavy gateway pressure, it's pretty dangerous without speed. But looks like Hydra so far might just play this really greedy, and if on the other hand he gets away with this, it's really, really good for him.
Yeah, taking a bit of greed could definitely help him here. And at some point, I mean, if you go up against a player like PartinG, who's just so incredibly good at this matchup, at some point you need to take a risk. Either play it a bit aggressive, play it a bit greedy, but you need to make something happen so that you have a slight advantage against your opponent. It's always, of course, a bit of a gamble, and if your opponent reads you, if he sees what you are doing, then he can exploit that. But these are just the plays that I feel somebody like Hydra needs to pull off right now to give himself a bit of an edge.
Yeah, and that's one of the aspects we are definitely seeing in this series, the fact that it is best of 7. We've seen so many crazy openings, hatches to the gold, 14-14. Now Hydra is playing a very greedy build with the double gas at 5:30. Actually, this is a little bit sooner than normal. This is about 30 seconds sooner than normal. So what we could see from here is actually him getting link speed, no lair, maybe a Roach Warren. And if PartinG decides to take a really fast pace, but look at this, a robotics facility. So maybe the choo-choo train.
Going for the soul train, PartinG maybe with a bit too much soul. After he actually got defeated on the last 2 maps, going for a build that he's extremely familiar with, that he really coined, that he can just showcase here. It's very strong. That's something that could really bring him back into the series, which is maybe like the wrong way to phrase it, but could give him the edge, I should probably say, in that series right now. Overlord still scouting, getting the information here, and you're completely right. With all the openings and all the craziness that we've seen with this, you always keep your opponent guessing what's going to come next.
Yeah, and we actually see a super quick lair from Hydra. So against the robotics opening, if he does scout it, that would be awesome because his Hydras are going to be about 20-30 seconds faster than they normally would. And that is absolutely awesome against Immortals. But we do see the War Prism. So on the other hand, he has to be really, really careful. He doesn't want a force field to block the ramp to his main and insta-lose the game.
Exactly. At this point, if you can buy yourself enough time to really capitalize on that fast tech and that economy that you have with this, then you are in a great position. But of course, for quite some time at the beginning, you are very vulnerable. And if PartinG identifies that and uses that War Prism to exploit the situation that Red talked about at the choke point in the main base, places down that force field, we've seen so many Zerg players losing games instantly against a strategy like that.
Yeah, and 3 Sentis and a probe in that War Prism. A Ling is coming down. It's so important that he spots it. Will he see it? He does see it. And now he knows he needs to pull back to his main. He won't let this happen. At the same time, the Hydra Den is on the way. And there are 4 more gateways. So I think PartinG is looking to do a lot with his War Prism.
Yeah, PartinG is trying to do a lot of damage here. It's basically a very similar strategy to what we've seen him play on Expedition Lost, when he was able to also exploit the terrain. He has that War Prism. He has the huge amount of gateways behind and is trying to just apply that constant pressure. And back then, one of the biggest problems that Hydra had was forgetting about a couple of links that he had on the map. He's already baiting out force fields, but he loses the Queen because of that. He's trying to pressure those sentries. Force fields everywhere, Queen's moving in, and the Zerglings are taking down most of those Zealots already, pressuring PartinG a lot with this.
Yeah, and the slow Zings are doing a surprisingly good job against the Zealots and the Sentries, and now the Hydra Den is finished. PartinG also dropped a pylon outside of Hydra's base, and he doesn't really have any tech on the way. What does he look to do with this? Is he going to get a ton of Sentries once again and just go for a massive force field-based push again?
I guess he does. The thing is, what really is important for Hydra, I feel, is that he makes sure that he is never going to be force-filled, that he always has a few units in position to already meet this. He's trying to take down that mothership core, focusing on that real quickly. The force fields are everywhere, and they are actually filling out most of the units. Look at that amount of force fields that we have. The sentries are everywhere right now, and there are not a lot of Hydra lists for Hydra just yet.
Yeah, massive warping of Stalkers, and the Lings are up against the Sentries right now. They are falling, but are enough of them dying? The force fields on the ramp will be there forever, and this is such a tough position for Hydra. Will he be able to hold this?
At this point, it's looking like he's just trying to get his army supply up here. The Warp Prism with another round of warp-ins already, and PartinG driving in this wedge between the third and the natural, trying to exploit that position here. Force fields being placed down once again, and he moves straight into the third. We're having one Spine Crawler about to start there, but I don't think he can hold this base.
Yeah, there are just ramps everywhere. It would only require 2 force fields. He does make a small mistake, lets the Lings in, but it doesn't matter. He takes them all out, and these Hydras are completely unable to attack. Really, the third base is falling. So many drones have died. 10 of them have gone down, and PartinG's army is not really getting smaller. More and more Hydras are falling left and right.
Very nice, isolating the Hydralists, taking them out here. Huge army. We're having 34 army supply against 23 in favor of the Protoss player that utilizes his tech units as well. The sentries with the force fields just buying him so much time, putting him in such a great spot. A few of them are taken out, but it doesn't look like Hydra has the defense ready to really turn this game around. He's about to lose his third. He lost 16 Harvesters already, and is looking at a Protoss player who is just now moving in towards the natural.
Yeah, Hydra has almost nothing left, and this game really paying the price for not having a Roach Warren, which could have helped him out so much. And PartinG doing such a good job abusing the fact that the ramps only take 2 force fields, and GG from Hydra.
PartinG takes game number 5 and takes therefore the lead in the best of 7 once again. He only needs one more map to win this series and crown himself the champion.
Yeah, PartinG once again winning the map that he did choose. And I feel like PartinG also playing pretty smart, analyzing Hydra's style. The fact that he's called Hydra, I guess that does imply that you like to skip Roach Warrens and go straight for those Hydras, which we did see him do exactly that, which would have been absolutely awesome against someone going Immortals. But this is something that I've honestly not seen that much. Just a War Prism with sentries, a ton of sentries, and then I guess because Catalina has those ramps, which makes it so good for force fields. It was kind of similar to the Expedition Lost game, where it also looked like an Immortal all-in, but then he just broke down the rocks and abused the sentries, and it looked really strong, to be honest.
You could really see that at the beginning he was threatening the force field on the main ramp, where you just need only one, but then as the sentry count was growing, he was just moving towards the natural and the third base, and with the ramps there, you need 2 force fields, but with that sentry count that he has, It was quite easy for him. Waited a long time, got warping after warping in there, isolated a few of the units, moved towards the third, took it out, and at that point he was already in a great spot. Even isolated a couple of Hydra lists, took them out, and then the army size of his Zerg opponent was just not big enough anymore.
Yeah, and even though Hydras are so good against gateway units, if you have that many sentries, about 8 or 9, it doesn't really matter because they just can't shoot you from that distance. And he could have been able to force field that ramp for days.
And for Hydra, this is of course now a pretty dangerous situation. I mean, he found himself into a spot like this already earlier in this series when he was down 2 maps and was able to win 2 in a row. But right now, any mistake that you make is gonna cost you the entire series. And the trophy is right there, and PartinG needs 1 more map to take it. If he can accomplish that, then he is going to be the champion with a 4-2 in this case. But Hydra, he's shown once that he can tie the series up. Maybe he can do it again.
Yeah, he's definitely a very tenacious little Zerg player, so I don't think he's giving up quite yet. It does seem like that break may have benefited PartinG just a little bit, winning the next game. It's always much harder to go right away when you've just lost 2 games. And he's had quite a bit of time to think about just the last maps remaining and exactly what he wants to do on each specific map. And we are still in the best of 7. We've already seen 5 games. So once again, the openings in the next game, they could be totally crazy. Will PartinG finally go for that cannon rush, or will he stick to what he's been doing the whole time? What do you think?
I actually think that I could see a cannon rush here, definitely. I mean, he's like in a really good spot right now, and I feel that Hydra is probably feeling pressure to either play greedy or aggressive, one of the two, and try to give him a bit of an advantage here. I'm not quite sure if he's really completely confident in playing just a fully normal game and trying to just like outplay PartinG completely. So I could see him go for something tricky, and PartinG taking a gamble as well, trying to exploit that and take a quick victory here. The series is in favor of the Protoss player. We are on Vani Research Station as our map number 6, and down to the bottom in blue we have our Protoss player. It is PartinG. And his opponent up to the top of the map. He needs to win 2 in a row now if he wants to be the Gfinity champion. It is Farut Gaming, Hydra.
Yeah, and Vani Research Station being the map, this is something that we saw PartinG play against Snoot. And actually hold that thought, because we see a 10 gateway going down from PartinG. This is definitely something that he's not done before. I think this is looking to go for a very fast salad against someone who's going 3 hatch before pool.
Yeah. And definitely PartinG starting to mix it up here quite a bit. So at this point, Hydra up in the main base. He seems to be going for that hatch first here. We don't have PartinG with any kind of cannon attack that we were thinking about a bit earlier, something that he could have done here. But PartinG is going for more aggression still. And Hydra, I'm really curious how he's going to play it here. PartinG taking a very aggressive opening. He knows that he's ahead in the series, and this is an opportunity for him to close it out already.
Yeah, this is such a nice map to go 3 hatch before pool on. So I really think this opening from PartinG is so smart. He's even chrono boosting that Zealot. If he does go 3 hatch before pool, which he's going up to 70 supply, so yes he is. That Zealot is going to be there when the pool is like not even close to done, Calder.
PartinG can do a lot of damage with that. If he micros that well, he can really pressure Hydra a lot. Deny mining for a long time. The Zealot is already on the way. The double hatch is being built now. Hydra started the 3rd base and will now soon enough start his pool, but before that he even gets 2 additional drones.
Yeah, and look at that. The pool is not even started yet, and the Zealot is halfway across the map, and behind this, PartinG does drop the Nexus. So what an interesting variation. This is something that when I play against Protoss, I don't really even take this into account, and now Hydra sees the Zealot like, hello, I did not expect to see you this fast, and he's going to have to rely on drones just to defend this.
This is definitely one of those oh shit moments when he sees that Zealot moving in and knows that he will have quite a bit of trouble to defend against this. It's all about the drones right now. If he can somehow micro well enough to maybe even take down the Zealot and not lose anything, it would be great. But he's going to have to focus so hard on this right now, and this is going to focus all of his attention. And the first drone already dead.
Yeah, and now he's going to have to micro, lose Mining Town. He does get the surround, which is very nice. Pulls back to her drone, pulls another one back. So far hasn't lost too much, and the Zealot will go down. Only 1 drone has fallen.
Really well done here. PartinG off. This is exactly what we've been talking about. If he's able to take that down without suffering too many losses, then he's going to be in a decent spot, and that's exactly what happened at the beginning. PartinG taking down the first drone immediately, and it looked like he could really do a lot of damage. But Hydra, with a quick reaction, getting the surround, microing all of his drones away before they could get killed. And now, of course, PartinG, who sacrificed quite a bit of economy getting an earlier gateway here, has his natural still up, but this is a great opening now for Hydra.
Yeah, almost flawless right now, and I really like this for Hydra. He's going to be able to drone freely as he wants. He has 3 bases. He has almost enough gas for link speed, and I think PartinG 100% he was looking to do more with that because he sacrificed a lot.
Oh yeah.
And from now, if you get behind early, any kind of timing attack kind of goes out of the window. So you do see him drop the Stargate, and I don't think PartinG has any real options other than go for a quick third base.
To be honest with you, at this point, if I was PartinG, I would be extremely annoyed. I mean, he reads the situation perfectly. It's a great map for double hatch before pool. He goes into an early gateway, which is a smart idea. He executes pressure, he goes up, he sees, well, there's nothing there just yet. So I played the right strategy. He kills the first drone, must feel awesome, and then suddenly he loses the Zealot. And the entire idea that he had behind this just goes to waste. It was absolutely in vain. At this point, he's trying to salvage the situation with the Stargate that he has there. But Hydra must feel pretty good now.
Yeah, that Stargate, though, is in a pretty interesting positions. I don't think the Overlords usually go all the way over there. They usually check behind the natural and the gas count and all the things like that. And the Oracle is something that PartinG has been extremely effective with in the past. And if he can rack up a ton of drone kills, he might be able to get back into a decent position in this game. It's up to Hydra now to read the game correctly and get those Spore Crawlers.
Hydra is willing to sacrifice the Overlord that was attacked by a Stalker early on, but he did not see that Stargate yet. He sees the gateways, but he does not know that there is an Oracle that will be heading towards his base very, very soon. That's a bit of a problem for him. Oracle still not spotted. Finally, it's going to be seen by that watchtower, but yeah, he needs a few units out there fast.
And the fact that these additional 2 gateways are so late should tell Hydra something, and he sees the 3rd Nexus as well. He does drop the Spore Crawler, so just from get that little bit of information, he knows exactly what's going on. And he has the Watchtower as well, he saw the Oracle coming as well.
Yeah, Oracle takes down a few of the Harvesters, 4 in total already. Job well done, but this base down here, there's no way PartinG can hold on to that. Has to cancel. Lynx trying to rush into the main base, that's not gonna happen. The sentry complies and takes down the rest of the Lynx.
Yeah, only 4 drones have fallen, which is quite acceptable. That Nexus cancel is a big deal. Always feels so amazing when you start like that against Protoss. PartinG will retake it just now. He is getting the +1. He is getting the Twilight cancel, the typical PartinG moves that we see in this game. Hydra at the same time losing a few more drones. It's getting a little bit annoying. 7 kills, I believe, on that Oracle. Not something he can afford, but his lair will soon be done, and then we will see what his intentions are in this game.
And he still has that Oracle alive, which is just so important. He barely saved it, but it's of course going to be this constant threat looming over your head. So you can't really relax. If you just miss out on the Oracle taking position over one of your gases, you're going to lose 3, 4, 5 drones. In a situation like this is super annoying. Hydra now with a Hydra then once again +1 attack for him as well, and there he tries to get into position again with the Oracle. Gonna also just simply use it as a scouting tool.
Yeah, I wonder if we see him go for just a massive tier 2 army once again like he did on Overgrowth. Because it does... Oh no, there's the Infestation Pit, so he's going to go for higher tech this game. He is dropping the 4th base, but PartinG right now posturing a little bit in the middle of the map. I think he will soon do his standard poke, maybe try to cancel the 4th. Hydra is getting some Hydras, which he will need to stop this attack.
Overseer is spotting everything that PartinG is doing right now. For Hydra, it's extremely important that he doesn't get blindsided at this point. He's trying to find out what's going on here. In the middle of the map, we still have a small army. The Infestation Pit is on the way. The range upgrade for the Hydralisks as well. We're having a 4th base being built by Hydra now too. He tries to get ahead in economy since he knows, of course, that PartinG has a 3rd base up by now. And maybe the first time that he actually did not perfectly place down those force fields and the Lynx not trapped but were actually able to escape.
Yeah, but this is still quite a big push, and Hydra definitely doesn't want to lose his 1st base. He has to get enough units, and all these gateways are finishing up, and this is a nice little +1 timing for PartinG to cancel this base.
Yeah, he will have to cancel that, and there's no way that he can actually defend against this. Lings are already there. We have a couple of Hydralists in position, but without those upgrades just yet, and he needs to wait for those. We also see Hive Tech started. Yeah. More Lings and Hydras are coming into play, and with the creep that he still has, I mean, PartinG is trying to push that back, but with the creep, he would have a decent position to get a grasp on his army.
Actually, the worker count is so low for PartinG. This is totally an all-in, so this attack has to do damage. And Hydra getting so much tech, I don't know if he's going to have enough of units. There are so many Stalkers. The Hydras are getting caught, and the Lynx from the back not able to do too much damage here to PartinG's army.
A couple of those sentries already taken out though, and the Warp Prism is also gone. So even though we have PartinG pushing in, Hydra is just trying to build up an army that is able to withstand this much pressure, but the Warp-ins are constantly happening at the same time. The Protoss player starting to make his way over towards that third base, pushing, Hydra blinking in with an aggressive move. He sees that the Hydra count is just too low. The Lynx and all the drones coming into play now as well, and Hydra is losing so many of his harvesters. 16, 17, 18 harvesters down already. PartinG, he wants to take it right here. He wants to win Gfinity Spring Masters, and it looks like he's going to be able to pull this off just now.
Yeah, I think this is it, Caller. This massive all-in proved to be too much for Hydra. He has a hive, but it's totally useless. And GG! PartinG is your champion.
PartinG takes the game. He takes the best of 7, wins this series with a 4-2 against his opponent. After struggling in game number 3 and game number 4, he's taking it, and he's your Gfinity Spring Master. Look at this guy, and he grabs the trophy.
And he goes on to high-five a couple of the loyal English Starcraft fans. Definitely very pleased with that win, as is Nathanius over there. Great job by PartinG. Closing it out with his aggression, which we've seen all throughout the tournament from him. His force field so amazing, his blink so amazing, and big congratulations to him for taking down this tournament.
PartinG with just an amazing series. His tournament performance was great, and he's the victor here. $5,000 for him. Robert with a big check. PartinG has the trophy. He was talking earlier about how the only thing that he's thinking about is where to put it in his apartment, and well, he actually was able to pull it off. So congratulations to PartinG, an amazing series, and of course we're going to have our analysis talk about how those last few games came to pass.
Well, what a final we just saw. The Muslim, you called it, you got it right, and look at his ecstatic running through the crowd, shaking all that. You know he was blown away by that. That could have been a massive upset though.
I mean, Hydra looked to be getting back into it, but looked like that breakaway at the toilet just to recompose and stuff really did him the world of good.
Yeah, man, that was actually really well done by PartinG. He kind of acknowledged that he was, I guess, a bit on the ropes, a bit shaky, recomposed himself, came back and played some really good games. He's so badass, man. Look at him going into the crowd. Oh, I love him. No, it was actually really well done though, and it's something that you don't usually, well, I guess you don't ever see from Protoss players in that last game, especially that 10-gate. And he done it throughout the whole series. He was really, instead of just, I guess, playing standard PvZ, he was really playing the maps and kind of playing them against Hydra, which was actually really cool to see. And yeah, in that last map, like I said, the 10-gate, you never actually see that. And I was kind of a bit scared for him after losing that Zealot. That's actually a really big part of his build that he was going for. He really needed to do more damage than that actual one drone kill and a little bit of lost mining time. But the unscouted Stargate, yeah, I guess it paid off pretty well with like those 9 drone kills, and the follow-up attack was really, really good. And obviously he won the series, and everyone's happy.
Coach Blink's definitely happy. You can just hear the excitement that just came out of Blink's mouth. Let him talk, and it was boom, straight through. The Muslim thoughts on that. You were very accurate with your 4-2.
I mean, any prediction's kind of lucky, but like we all knew that PartinG was the favourite for this, in fact, for the tournament. Like, let's be real. Like, he's been on fire. GSL finalist, going 4-3 or losing 4-3 to Life, but Life is arguably like the best player in the world right now. So coming to this tournament, PartinG was the big favourite. But Hydra, I've got to commend him. He played very well. Like, in a lot of those games where PartinG won, it did look like came down to one fight that could have went either way, to be honest. So while I'm very impressed with PartinG and always am by just his consistency and his micro, got incredibly good micro, I was very impressed by Hydra here too.
Well, I think that PartinG, like the overconfidence factor, the mental game, the whole thing of it was, it just looked like it was going to go. But you said about the WCS example of him taking the break and then just coming back and destroying it. It's done exactly that again. And well, only person that seems to be able to beat PartinG right now is his Life.
Yeah, I feel like Hydra might have been a little bit predictable in that series. I think PartinG probably picked up on the fact that he skips his Roach Warren quite a lot, and obviously with Ling Hydra, you're not really going to get burrow and stuff like that. Obviously, PartinG did have detection in some of the builds that he was doing. But for instance, like the gateway attacks with the just because you don't really see that, to be honest, with the Warp Prism, you don't really see just gateway unit attacks, and I guess he could kind of get away with that because he knows how effective force fields and stalkers and whatnot are against Ling Hydra. So yeah, I feel like he really punished the fact that Hydra always skipped on the Roach Warren. But yeah, got to give props to Hydra because he actually really did, I guess, outshine everyone's expectations coming
Massively.
into this. I don't think anyone would have predicted Hydra to be in the final.
Not off the bat, not with this lineup, no way.
Exactly. Maybe even top 4. I don't think, even though he has been doing very, very well online, I still, like with the lineup and with how deep and stacked it is, I don't think anyone would have predicted that. And the fact that he's been able to do that, it just kind of shows how good of a player he is. And I'm sure that we'll definitely see more of him.
Well, any final thoughts, guys, before we go to our final winners interview and close up a great event here at Gfinity?
Just big congratulations to PartinG. Like, I've never seen a Protoss play to the maps as well as he does. Very impressed.
Yeah, yeah, big congrats to my personal player, PartinG. We're going to have a few drinks to celebrate tonight for sure.
Oh yeah, PartinG's going to party hard.
Yeah, so yeah, congrats to him. And also congrats to Hydra.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic achievement from Hydra. Shouldn't be overlooked in any way. But thank you for joining me, guys. It's been fantastic having you, Bling the Muslim. Guys, we're going to be taking a short break, and then we're coming back for an interview with the winner, PartinG, in all his glory.